Hello, world. This is All Positive Network, bringing you positive vibes and life lessons. Today, we got a special guest with us. We have Girl Behind the Mic. How you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm fine. I first met Girl Behind the Mic on Mark Nash boxing channel, and we were talking about racism and all types of things. And I've been going to her channel, and I've been seeing that she has the things. She has the cooking, and she has the dream interpretation. So, how long have you been doing the dream interpretations?
Yes. So I've been doing dream interpretations almost all my life. It was something that we just did in home, in house, sharing dreams with my mom, doing interpretations with my siblings and close friends. Now, when I had my second spiritual awakening and I wanted to do I was feeling moved to doing a podcast. I thought I was going to, one of the ideas was a spiritual podcast, but I said, you know what? I want to teach people how to decode their own dreams because they may be a demographic of people out there that may be interested in this or not, but because dreams are an important part of the spiritual journey. So that's
Mm-hmm.
for the Dream Decoding Podcast. That's when the Dream Decoding Podcast got birthed.
Mm-hmm. And I told you once about a couple of dreams that I've been having. It's like a series of dreams I always have. You explained to me what my teeth falling out mean, and you explained to me what someone's trying to kill me. But it's another dream that I've always been having, and it's always takes place in the same area. So I went to elementary school, middle school, and high school. But this dream always takes place in my high school, and it always takes place on a back hallway. It's always the last day of school, and I haven't done any of the work. you know, and it's like the last day of school. It's always the last day of school, and I haven't done any of the work. And I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna pass this year, and I'm very afraid. And someone told me they had that same dream too. They keep having that same dream over and over. It's like we know it's the last day of school, but I get there and I haven't done any work the whole semester.
Mhm.
And I'm scared. I know I'm gonna fail. I'm like, what do you think that is saying?
So the one of the most important things when it comes to decoding the dreams, because this is one of the things that I like to teach on my podcast, right? So every single human being is even though you did say you've talked to people or someone that may have something similar, but we are all still individually unique to our spiritual journey. So what happens with decoding dreams, or I should say first, when we receive dreams, we're in a spiritual state of your subconscious mind.
Mm.
So that's not your waking mind. So what I like to tell people is the decoding of dreams is very finite to the part that you could look. It's about your life. It's about you, oneself. So one thing you could look at first is the symbolisms in the dreams. That's the most important things that you want to learn on how to decode your dreams. And then you want to look at the so to me, it sounds like you said you've been having that dream. So
Mm-hmm.
that sounds like it's a repetitive dream, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just off the general basis, repetitive dreams tend to come to us to nudge us to, hey, pay attention on the general surface.
Mm.
Um, but you say you keep dreaming about high school. Moment in high school, the last day of school. So now this is when you start to decode that part. What did high school mean to you? What feelings did that last day of high school mean to you? How did you feel about in your waking state? How did you feel about that last day of high school? So, for instance, just a general example, because I don't know your journey, your spiritual journey, you're the only person that can decode this. But let me give you an example. So, let's say for me, example wise, um, my counselor told me that I was 3 credits shy and I was maybe not going to make it out of high school. So the last day of high school for me can represent anxiety. It can represent a heightened emotional state of worriness, of all kinds of feelings can happen, right? Because that is my example for the last day of high school. So perhaps in my waking life now, if I keep getting this repetitive dream, means perhaps it could be the fact, because now let's say I've graduated, it's been over so many years that I've been out of high school, but I'm having this same repetitive dream of that moment that was very bothersome, worrisome, gave me anxiety. So now in my life, in my waking life, I'm now looking to see, okay, what does this moment represent on this journey? Why am I getting that same emotional feeling? Because that's what dreams are. When we go to sleep, we're connecting emotionally. And I may call it our inner self and so forth, but it's an emotional connection. So we're going off of the emotions that our body is feeling in the subconscious state. Okay. So that's why I always say just dig deep inside. It doesn't, dreams do not necessarily mean that what you dream is what's happening, because you're not in high school, right?
Oh
So
no,
that's
no.
exactly. So now you realize, okay, we got to pull apart the symbolisms. Well, how did I feel on the last day of high school? Maybe it was a great time. Maybe it was a perfect time. Maybe it was a time that, you were kind of sad. You were going apart from your friends and so forth. So that repetitiveness, maybe wanting you to focus on an emotional part. Maybe that's something that's manifesting itself in your waking life. Those emotions you had at that time, perhaps um, going back to a place like high school, or a place in the past, like an old house, an old setting, an old city, can generally mean you're going back into your past. Now, this is another part where the individual has to pull apart what happened there. In my time, I've had repetitive dreams of the house that I grew up in,
Mhm.
and there were no fond memories at that house. And I realized that it was a moment for me to address the past trauma and hurts that were plaguing me emotionally. That's what I knew from that dream, when I kept having that. It was an area in my life that needed to be addressed, because that wasn't a pleasant moment, but my that kept coming up. So therefore, when you look at your high school, your last day of high school, you're gonna connect you can connect your memories from that. You can connect your emotional state, how you felt about that. And then being repetitive just means that sometimes um, the I call it the spiritual realm, is wanting you to pay attention. Pay attention to something. Perhaps it's the emotions that are getting ready to manifest that may be similar to your last day of school, or how your last day of school made you feel, and or so forth. So this would be something you would have to decode in your dream.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense because it was always mixed feelings. Like because I would play around a lot during the school year, and I would the last day of school I was like, man, now this is the last exam, so now I got to make about an 80 just to pass this class, some of the classes. So, and it was always nervous, and like in these dreams, I was like, oh man, I haven't done any work. But like you said, it could represent a time of sadness, leaving your friends. It could represent a time of relief, you know, and like that. So so that definitely makes perfect sense, you know. And
Absolutely.
like you said about the subconscious, like that's the subconscious, like that are things that we have, thoughts we have, even though we're not awoke, but there are things we've all been thinking about and we carried over into our dreams. Because I remember, I don't sleep. I don't do the 8 hour sleep thing. I sleep like 20-minute increments, set my alarm all through the day. I get like 2 hours of sleep per day. So
Okay.
I remember one time I did me like a 20-minute nap, and it was before Amber was going to arrive to do some podcasts with me. And I
Hmm.
had a dream in that 20 minutes that Amber was here doing the podcast with me. And I woke up and then she was arriving. So I was thinking about her coming over doing the podcast, and I dreamed about it before it happened. So yeah, it was just on my mind before I got me a quick nap.
So, and that's one of the pleasures that I take when I teach the episodes on Decoding Dreams podcast, is because it's not a one size fits all, right? And so, in your case, in the 20-minute dream, yes, that could have been your mind thinking about the regurgitating or bringing back to your memory the podcast, the session that you're about to do, the podcast. But could it have been a premonition? What's the difference? Now, a premonition would have been you dreamt that Amber came to do a podcast. She's wearing a red top, black pants, white shoes. And you guys talked about the farming industry of apples or something like that in your dream. And then, boom, she comes and she's wearing exactly what you saw. And boom, the conversation goes to exactly what you dreamt of. That's a premonition. You see, so that's when I always like love to encourage people, like, pull it apart, look at it, see what's happening. And then here's another amazing thing. It seems like, I know we sometimes can chalk it up to that, which it could have just been that, the anticipation of what's to come. But did you know that, or like some folk would say, some Christian folk would say, nothing, I know my mom used to always say this, nothing happens in this realm without us ever seeing it first in the spiritual realm. For me, it always made sense because most of my decisions, most of the things that I did, I received them in my sleep state. And so things happen in the spiritual realm before they manifest themselves in our physical realm. So that 20-minute dream could have been a premonition if everything went according to what you saw, or could have just been the anticipation of the podcast, or you could have seen what was coming, right? So that's what's so amazing about dreams. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping people decode dreams, because this is not and my passion too, with all my friends always calling, oh, I dreamt about this. I was like, what, people need to learn how to decode, because you get some people that say, well, I wish I knew, what, or some people are like, well, I got a big job offer, but that means I got to relocate and I don't want to, but I don't know what to do. You could seek that knowledge in your dreams. You can absolutely seek that knowledge in your dreams. I'm a living testimony of that. Even when I write my books, I'm receiving things and information from my dreams. But the most important thing is to be able to decode your dreams, because they don't teach us this in school. I realize that, right? And decoding dreams is not like a one-person gift. Everyone has that ability. You just have to tap into, honestly, who you are as a person. That's when I always tell people, you got to be real with yourself and understand yourself, because some of these things could be a warning. And then some of these things, and like what I like to tell people also is be sensitive to cultures, because every culture is different. The way the Asian community, mainly Indians, will look at snakes, that could be a positive thing. I know of a few tribes in Africa that could look at snakes as a good omen, but my culture, snakes are a bad omen.
Yes.
And then so you gotta connect with that. You gotta connect with that, see what it means culturally. You gotta ask yourself about your beliefs, because some of these, your dreams are showing you things that are connected to you as an individual. And I remember one time I was about to have a big meeting at my last job, and I dreamt that I was driving on top of big black snakes. And for me, snakes are a bad omen. And so I knew instantly upon waking up those other elements in that dream that something was going to happen at that meeting. And I went prepared for everything to happen, and it surely did happen. So it's all about having the connection to self, being truthful with self. Because sometimes your dreams that come through are not always, I always tell people, they're not always happy messages. Some messages come to warn you. So it's always good to pay attention.
It's funny you said that about messages coming to warn you. You are aware of who Kobe Bryant is, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, we all know Kobe Bryant passed away a couple years ago. I had this dream this year about a friend of mine that plays basketball, and I've only been to the Cracker Barrel twice in my life, ever, and that was both times this year. Someone gave me a gift card. So I was at the Cracker Barrel, and here up comes Kobe Bryant. It was a guy named Bird, and he was with Kobe Bryant, and they was walking up. Now, I know Kobe Bryant is dead. You had those dreams, you see a dead person, you know they're dead.
Right.
So I'm thinking, okay, Kobe Bryant's dead, but he's walking up here with Bird. and Bird's not saying anything. So I walk up to Kobe Bryant and I was like, hey, the late, great Kobe Bryant. So I'm telling him he's dead. And we're talking to each other and I'm dapping him up. I'm shaking his hand. And Bird isn't saying anything. And I never told anybody that dream. But, I started to think like, man, I hope Bird is okay. You know what I'm saying? I was thinking like, I hope he's okay, because why is Bird hanging out with Kobe Bryant in his dream and Kobe's dead? You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what would you say, like something like that occurs, like when you see someone hanging out with a dead person, or you're hanging out and talking to a dead person, you know that person is dead?
Absolutely. So that's a great, interesting dream. Um, Now, because it's Kobe Bryant, right? Now, one, I would have to ask, would you know, or are you related to Kobe Bryant?
Oh no. Oh no. I'm not
Okay.
related to him, no.
So Kobe Bryant is not a fan of yours, right? So it's not uncommon to have to dream of a popular person, or a person perhaps that we know past that may not be related to us. But in your case, it sounds like your friend was there. Um, Dreams could be metaphorical, they could be symbolic. I mean, and here's the thing: the whole entire time that I've been doing and understanding dream interpretations, I have had so many people come into my dreams and so forth, and things manifest, but I've never had the guts to tell them beforehand. So that's why I wouldn't even ask, like, how's your friend doing? You know what I mean? Because he might be just doing fine.
Mm-hmm.
He might just be doing fine. One thing could have something to do with the other, maybe because it's basketball. But I don't think that there would be danger there, unless, like, the only person that can confirm this would be your friend. Knock on wood, if he says, I went and got a CAT scan or x-ray or something. But he might be just fine. And it just might have been a dream. Once again, just realizing what was all around there. You said you were like at a Cracker Barrel in the dream.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then, just trying to decode when was the last time you spoke to your friend. Before that, maybe is your relationship with your friend dead? Because remember, it's not verbatim or as is, or perhaps it's not even just a warning sign. Perhaps your relationship with your friend may be dead, but maybe it's not. Or maybe something among you is dying for the better, right? Maybe y'all have crossed, you've been friends for a long time, and you've crossed over that bridge, and you've learned to solidify your friendship, and the old things are dying.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be very symbolic, you know?
Yeah, that also makes perfect sense as well, about that. That definitely makes perfect sense, that something's dying in there. Those are some great dream interpretations. I like that. The next subject, the last subject I want to talk to you about is colorism. Me and Amber talk about it all the time. I know you listen.
Shout out to Amber.
Yeah, shout out to Amber.
I missed you today.
Yeah, shout out to Amber. Let's give it up for Amber.
Yes.
I know no one has ever seen our faces, because we always hide our faces, because I had a YouTube channel. I still have that channel, and when I showed my face, I was getting 10,000 views, 90,000 views per video, 17,000. But I don't want that. That was back before it was monetized. I don't want that. I don't want to be noticed, because I've always pretty known in my area. But we are keeping this podcast kind of a secret. No one knows we're doing this. Like when they find out, they find out. We just started. But Amber's, I always pick on her. I'll call her beige. Doesn't mean it. I always call her. But the thing is, we're the same complexion. As you can see in the pictures, we had our hands together and we take pictures together. But we're the same complexion, and my family's dark on my mom's side, but I always grew up around dark people. That's why I only identified with. So I didn't know I was lighter until I was in my 20s.
Okay.
But, me and Amber talked about colorism, because we both went to the same college. I went when she graduated when she was like 21, because she went out of high school. Me, I didn't start school until I was 30, in my 30s, after the military and all that. So,
you served in the military?
Yeah, I served in the military.
Awesome. Thank you for your service.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, let's give it up for that. Give it up for the military.
Yes, let's give it up for the military.
So, what ended up happening that I would take classes that it would be a majority of white people in these classes. It would be like the most, like in the anthropology department, is like all white. It's like I was like 95.5% black, and even teachers. There's only one black teacher in the whole department.
Wow.
One. So I would have classes like maybe like 100, 120 people, and it would be like 3 or 4 black people in the whole class. And in classes
Wow.
with 30 people, it would be like two. And Amber, she was the same way. A lot of her classes, she would be like 2 or 3 black people in it. And a lot of people, and this might sound stupid to you, and I try to make it make sense, but white people were comfortable around me and treated me good. They treated me better than they would treat a darker person.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I
Makes
took
sense.
I took offense to that.
Okay.
I took offense to that because that's basically saying you're seeing me as one of you, but then you clutch your
Mm.
purse and get off the sidewalk when another black person walk by. You know,
Mm.
so I've
Right.
always taken offense to colorism. Like I don't think I'm better than nobody that's dark. Because I've always
Hmm.
said and I've changed my views. I even said this maybe a month ago. I was like, I don't want no. I was like, I'll never marry a beige chick because I don't want no beige babies. I know I've said that. I know I kind of changed my stance because I don't like to hurt people's feelings. I said I don't know if I hurt Amber's feelings when I told her that, but yeah, have you ever experienced like colorism from light skinned people or people treating you different than they treat other light skinned people?
So that's a very good question, right? So, okay, backstory a little bit about me. I was born and raised in Zimbabwe in Africa, close to south of Africa, and I migrated to America when I was 16. So I've been in America for some years now. And I only like to give that backstory so that it could make sense for the rest of my answer. Um, I didn't know about racism till I came to America. I didn't. I didn't know. And then when we moved to the United States of America, we moved to Southern California in the valley. So I was a total valley girl. And in the valley that I went to high school at, the black people on campus were the minority. And this was a big campus. I'm talking about 3,000 students. So the majority students were white students, followed by Asian students, followed by Mexican students, and then followed by a very few demographic of black students. Like we knew each other face wise, like we could, know exactly who was on campus in the black community at that time when I lived there in that valley town. And so I'm saying all of that to say I relocated to to a place where there was 40% black people, 40% white people, 10% other. And this was my first exposure to black culture in America. And it was the first time as an adult that I learned that I was black in America. And not only was I black in America, but I'm a dark complected person. And so that threw me off the loop. And most people say, what do you mean you learned you were black? I did. Like, first of all, I didn't know about racism. So you're talking about a 16-year-old that comes here very naive. And because I just go into this crowd with a very, it's diverse on the other races, but a few black people, but no one there ever made me feel uncomfortable or no one, it was never about black, white. It's like we all just kind of blended in. But it was magnified when I moved to the Midwest, where you got black here, white here. That's it, 10% other, And then that's when I saw the big, like, just amplified black this, black this, white this. And then at that point in time, I realized, okay, I'm in black skin. Now, what you just gave an example of is very interesting because, mind you, even though I was a young adult and I'm realizing I'm black because there's so much talk between black this, white this in the Midwest, the position that I was relocated to, I was one of the youngest people in this multi-billion-dollar healthcare privately owned company. And I was in a leadership role at that time, young, black, one of the only black people in a leadership role. We're in this nationwide. We ended up being international come at some point in time. But even at that point, it hadn't quite set in me You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't really moving around like, okay, I knew the conversations out in the world were heavy, like in our community and society, because then I really gravitated to Black culture, and that's when I was really getting the juice, about the feelings of being Black in America, white people, and all this other stuff. But even in the corporate aspect, when I was moving through the rungs, um, I didn't see it, but I felt it, right? Um, because I was the only Black person in most of these spaces.
Yeah.
Like even in the regions that I was over, the two states that I was over, I was majority of the time, 95% of the time, most of my employees were not Black. And most of them were white, had an Asian girl here and there. Um, but it's as if they would gravitate, and then I don't know, maybe because I was predominantly the only Black person at that time. Now it were moments where we hired on Black people, but they never lasted. But what you're saying I could see, but was it because I was in leadership that these white people would kind of like gravitate to me, because they would sit up there and talk about like my new hires, like if they're Black people. You know what I'm saying? That made me feel uncomfortable, because they made the way it felt made me feel was like they felt like we were cool, like because in my mind I'm like, do you not, y'all don't see that I'm Black too?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I'm
Yeah.
Black too, and y'all talking about my sis right here. We just hired her. Give her time, Or did they catch themselves just like talking to somebody that's in leadership? I get confused about that too. So I understand what you're saying, like when you're in school where you felt like you were being, because you could feel it. It's a feeling. I don't know how to describe it, but it was a feeling. It was like, then at that time, I was ignorant, I guess. I would think maybe because I tried to work as ethically sound as I could, and I want to be as fair as I could across the board. So I thought maybe they come to talk to them with their leadership, or whatever. I want my doors to be open, but my head sometimes would be like it's weird to describe it. You know what I mean? Like I'd have executives come in, and I would have a new hire, the few that would come, and they'll just come, and it was personal because it wasn't professional. They're like, I don't think she's gonna make it. They're talking about like a new girl that I just hired, a Black girl, right? I don't think she's gonna make it. She's a little bit too slow. What do you think? And it was awkward because I'm like, why do you want to know what I think? But in my mind, I'm like, well, we haven't given her a chance. Like that's what I would do with everybody else, wouldn't I? In my mind, like I would give everybody else a chance. I don't know. I don't see it. And I was like, but they didn't say that about other people, though. Other people, other races, is what I'm saying. And so it would rub me the wrong way. It would, because I felt it. I was like, wait. Am I supposed to be complicit with this? You know what I'm saying? So I understand what you're saying. When you feel like you're around a certain demographics in a space that's not so Black friendly, but it's as if you get singled out, and then you're put in a position to where, to me, it was put in a position to where I'm questioning my sanity. Like, wait, I know they know that I'm Black, but you know what I mean? Are they just, wait, what does this mean? So yeah, that's my experience with that.
And another thing, what you said, that you didn't know you was like Black until you got here. I say that a lot, and people don't believe me or understand what I'm saying, because my mom's side of the family is dark, and I am light because my dad's side of the family is light, because my dad comes from white people. My dad's grandmother is white. So I never knew that until I was in my 30s. So I didn't know I was like, because I remember I told this story on one of my shows that there was this girl. I was like 15. We wanted to meet this girl, and the guys were telling me like, "Yo, Shannon." I can say her name because I don't know her last name. There's a million Shannons out here. So there was this girl named Shannon. She was like 14, and the guy was like, "Yo, Shannon, she's gonna be at the town common." Like, "Yo, Shannon's cute," and I was like, "What she look like?" She's like, "Yo, she light skinned like you," and I'm thinking, I'm not light skinned. Because my mom's side of the family is dark. I've always said like, yo, everybody was like you like. I would come back to school from the summer, and some girls like, yo, you got black this summer. I'm like, I've always been dark. I'm not light skinned. And you know, I look in the mirror, I can see myself, but I never saw that. So even though I'm looking at myself in the
Hmm.
mirror, I'd say I'm dark because all my family's dark. My mom's side of the family, all my cousins, all my friends are dark skinned. I realized I was light skinned when I went to Germany,
Hmm.
and they was telling me about all the German girls and the nationals over there. They like dark men. And at that
Mm.
point, I realized I'm like, I am not dark skinned. Because I like, yeah, I was like, I'm not dark skinned because the girls don't feel me like they feel these. I'm thinking like, I know I look better than these guys. I'm like, what's the deal? What's the deal over here? And it's like, yo, they like these dark guys. I'm like, oh man, that's when I realized like, yo, I'm really not dark. And it was like and I was in my 20s, and I realized I really growing up I did not know I was not dark skinned because that's all I ever saw. That's all I hung around. You know. So does
Right.
that make sense to you?
No, it makes you're making 100% sense because you are a product of your environment. Just like I'm a product of my environment in the sense that the reason and one of the other reasons why I'd given that little backstory was coming to America. My mom is light as complected as probably I could think of, like Beyonce's mom, right? Or maybe I guess Beyonce's mom is the
Hmm.
same complexion as Beyonce.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
So that's like my mom. And then my brother it was 5 foot 5. So my brother, he's light like my mother, then me. And then my late sister, light like my mother. Then my other sister, light like my mother. And that was the ongoing thing for a long time, even when we came to America. Then we had a baby sister born in like 2002 who finally came out dark like me. But at that point in time, I'd been raised in this household. I'm dark like my dad. And so, but I'd been raised in our household and it was my dad and I. But once again, coming to the United States of America is when I learned also about colorism. And
Hmm.
furthermore, coming to the Midwest, because I grew up in a house with nothing but light skinned people. It was me and my dad, and then light skinned people. But I never really paid it. I don't even want to say paid attention because nobody made. You know what I'm saying? No one had ever really like in our family like brought it up.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
so,
Nobody
it
brings
was
it up. Yeah.
exactly. So it was my norm. It was my norm until I found out. Of course, now you read, I'm getting immersed in books because, hello, I found out about slavery when I got here. I was like, what do you mean? People are like, for real? I'm like, you guys are lying. They like read the books. And so here we go. I was like mentally freaking traumatized for a long time because they didn't teach us that syllabus in Africa growing up. So, I mean, in Zimbabwe, I should say, because Africa is a continent. So, but here's the thing. So I was introduced to colorism here. I didn't know that. But then I understood like how it goes back and how it's tied to, some there's a slave history in the colorism part. The lighter complected people were in the house,
Yeah.
the darker complected people were in the field. So I started to learn that. But before that, I wouldn't have known about colorism. And
Mm.
even growing up in Zimbabwe, I didn't face colorism, but it makes sense because that wasn't the history we had. We didn't have light complected people being pitted against dark complected people being pitted against light complected people. So that was something for me to learn about as well. And I mean, I learned a whole bunch as well, right?
Mm.
So that was an eye opening moment for me when it came to colorism. And I'm the same way. I was a product of my environment. So I didn't even know. Like that was what was funny. Like my mom and my sister, I remember they went to San Diego Zoo and it was summertime and they came back burnt, just sunburnt. Something I've never experienced in my life. And so ever since then, we would go to the beach and my mom got paranoid. You guys need to put on sunscreen. And I never liked the way it smelled. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm good over here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
Mhm.
go ahead. I'm good. But so I mean, but like I said, my exposure to colorism was really when I was immersed in the Midwest, where I got immersed in Black American culture and got to learn a lot more. You know,
Mm.
so that was my experience.
Mm. Yeah, definitely that. Because I remember the first time I got sunburned, I didn't think black people got sunburned. And my face was peeling, and my skin was sensitive to touch, and it occurred. That was the second time I got sunburned. The first time I got sunburned, I didn't know what it was. It was my shoulder was burnt and all that stuff. But second time it was bad. My face was peeling. I was in St. Louis, Missouri, and it was horrible. I was like, oh my God, man. I was walking around with my face had skin hanging off my face. All this stuff. I was only outside maybe an hour and a half. I was like, oh man, I did not like that, man. This is what white people go through. I do not like this.
I saw it with my mom and my sister because I was like, how do y'all feel? My mom was like, it feels like somebody poured boiling hot water. And I was like, okay.
And then
I just get shades darker. You know what I mean? I just get shades darker.
Your
like,
skin is sensitive to touch. Nobody can touch you because
wow.
it's very sensitive, man. But it is it's something I do. I haven't experienced that in years because, like I said, I actually use sunscreen now, and I have to use it, and I try to. I run in the sun. I'm getting a little dark now because I run in the sun every day. The hottest point of the sun, like 90 degrees or 95 degrees, I'll go out and run, do 3 or 4 miles. I mean, I do a lot of videos showing myself doing it, and people be ghosting me, so I understand why because it is hot. But yeah, definitely colorism. Yeah, colorism is definitely a thing that is not addressed enough, and you see it in Hollywood, and you see it in music. Because I made this statement. And I made this statement a couple of years ago. I don't know. I'm not keeping up with hip hop and music now, so I don't know if anything has changed. But a couple of years ago, I asked people, I was like, who is the last, since Lauryn Hill in 98, 99, has there been a dark-skinned female that has been promoted to the masses? Has been popular and promoted? Can you think of one? Because I couldn't, since Lauryn Hill.
Well, so lately, I would say, what do you think, Megan the Stallion?
Yeah, I said 2 years. Yeah, 2 years. Megan wasn't out yet, so I said 2 years prior to Megan. 2 years prior to Megan. So Megan definitely, but she's not really dark.
No, she's not.
Yeah, but
I think 2 years prior, I can't. Let me see. Ooh. Yeah, Lauryn Hill made a big wave.
And that was like the last one for almost 20 some years. I mean, that is bad. And I know there are a lot. There's this girl named Tems. I don't know if you heard of her. You heard of her? It's
Tems?
Tems. Okay. And she has this song, this Afrobeat song that they're playing with WizKid. They play it all the time. You know what I'm saying? And I seen it. I was like, wow, like this song is everywhere. Like before I even know it, I had to Shazam it. I would hear it every day and Shazam it. And then I seen the video and I seen it. I'm like, oh, this is why they're not promoting her, because she's a dark, she's a dark skinned foreign girl she's from Africa. So I'm like, okay, this is probably why she's not being promoted. But then you promote a lot of other females that have no talent, but they're beige and they're light skinned, and this is why they get promoted to the masses. They're selling, like they're using the music to sell the artist instead of using the artist to sell the music. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's what has plagued the music industry. They have a cookie cutter, and maybe we could say some of Hollywood. But what I'm very excited about is the dismantling of, I call it the dismantling of Hollywood, whether people want to believe it or not, but because we have streaming services now. And so I'm so excited that Black, brown people have avenues to pitch their shows, their scripts, and so forth. And I think that besides the music industry, but to see more representation of darker complected people, we need to be the ones writing and spearheading our own shows and so forth. So I've been happy to see that has been changing. Like when I watch certain shows on Hulu or Netflix and so forth. And I don't know if you know, there's a show called Examples. The Man That Fell from the Sky or something like that.
I haven't looked at it, but I've seen the show up there,
Yeah, so the main actress lady, she's dark in complexion. She got a chocolate daughter, and it's on Showtime. So things like that make me feel good too. I like to see just equal blackness across the screen. But in the music industry, I think the minute I think that narrative needs to change. They're talented people in all complexions, but somebody will have to break the cookie cutter mold in the music industry, because I think what they do is whatever has sold before, we want that, but younger. Yeah,
Oh
that
yeah,
makes sense.
over and over. It's like
Let's
over and
repeat,
over.
rinse, wash, wash, rinse, repeat. That's what they want. But I think as the I'm hopeful in the millennial generation, Generation Z coming up, we're gonna have more artists. In my mind, in my heart, I hope that these kids understand that you can be independently published if you really work hard for it. And so therefore we'll see people promoting themselves, dark complected people promoting themselves, because that's one place that the barrier needs to change. I've seen the change on the screen. I mean, and I know you had said this the last time you didn't watch Black Panther,
Yeah.
but Black Panther will make me cry today.
Mm.
Just a cast, just to see all shades of black, but majority shades of dark complexion. I was like, oh my gosh, it just, even up to now, it gives me chills. It was so beautiful.
Mm.
And don't get me wrong, for me, like I said, because I grew up in an environment with light complected mother and siblings, I'm not necessarily saying that screen and music should all be dark complected people.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just
yeah.
saying there needs to be a fair
Yeah,
balance.
it should be a balance, and that's what same thing I said. I don't think they should do away with this music today that's bad and repetitive, but just have more that you're promoting to the masses. You know,
Exactly.
you can keep that music there, but just promote other stuff as well. Don't promote one form of music to the masses. You know,
Right.
yeah, and like don't promote one form of color, complexion of females, because this is all you see these rappers with on these videos, like on the YouTube videos, and they always have a light skinned chick on their arm. You know what I'm saying? In a
Right.
club, and like it's like they make you think like if you from where you're from and you move to America, anybody from anywhere parts of the world, they move to America, and or if they're looking at on YouTube in their country, they're thinking, man, America only has light skinned girls. You know, there are no darker girls there, because this is all we see in
You
these rap videos.
you raise a very valid point, believe it or not. Even though I was growing up in Zimbabwe, my influences were Western based, specifically American black music, and I tried to watch as many black American movies as I could. But that's what I saw. I mean, I remember TLC. I like their shades there.
Mm-hmm.
And Brandy,
Yeah.
I fell in love with Brandy. Um, who else? Like I remember Total.
Oh yeah, totally. It was
But I
dark.
looked to that. You're right. So when you are like overseas or out of the United States, if you do have one representation, people can have a perplexity to think that's. And then here's the thing: they think that that's standard. And then here's another thing that I'm finding out. Um, Dark complected women, and not just only dark, but black women bleaching their skin.
Oh, I hate
And
it.
I don't
Yes.
judge anybody, but I don't understand it.
I
That's all I'm
don't
gonna
get it.
say. I
I
don't
don't get
understand
it.
it.
You know, because you got a lot of white women trying to get darker with tans, and then you got darker women are bleaching their skin and changing their facial features, changing their noses and all that stuff to look whiter. And
Yeah.
because there was this she was one of my favorite actresses until she started that stuff. But there was this female, this Indian female named Mindy Kaling. I don't know if you ever heard of
Mhm.
her. You ever heard of her?
Mm-mm.
But she was an Indian actress, and she's real dark, Mindy Kaling. But now, if you look at a picture of Mindy Kaling, she is real light. She's probably lighter than me on my complexion. I'm like, yo, it's like people don't realize that we have old pictures of you. You know,
Right.
and even so, and I like Serena Williams, but I look at pictures of Serena. I don't know if she's bleaching or they putting makeup on her to make her look light, but she looks way lighter than what she used to be.
She looks lighter than she used to be. I don't know either. Too. I was confused because I was like, I don't know if it's makeup, lighting, or I don't know. But she does look lighter than she used to be.
Mm.
And like I said, I don't understand it. I don't get it. But but is it because of what people have think the standard of beauty is? I don't know. It's confusing because here's the thing. Look, like I said, I grew my mom everything, but I never in my little heart ever was like, oh, I wish I was light skinned or I want to be light skinned. Never crossed my mind. Heck, if anything, I want to be a little bit more darker. When I go to the gym, get into the tanning bed a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But so I just don't understand it. And I'm not saying that I am the epitome of self-confidence in this entire world, but it's just because of you're erasing your pigmentation. It's a lot of things that come after those chemicals. But like I said, it's not a judgment. If people want to do it, do it. But it's not. Let's just think about the consequences you're doing to your skin. You know.
Because I don't think you're gonna be able to get it once you bleach it. You're not gonna get it back because I had a friend, and I have a friend, a girl I grew up with, and she has a daughter. Her daughter's 15 now, and I think 2 years ago when her daughter was 13, Michael Jackson, an old Michael Jackson video came on. Michael Jackson in the 70s. It came on TV, and she did not know who that was because she had never seen Black Michael Jackson before. She was 13 years old. She's like, we were looking, and she's like, who was that? And we all looked like she was crazy. And then I realized, okay, you're 13, you've never seen Black Michael Jackson before. She only know the Michael Jackson,
right.
and the white version. She had never seen that. I thought it was funny. I thought it was strange, and I thought it was funny at the same time. But colorism is definitely a thing, man, and it's something that we've got to stop, and hopefully it'll get better.
Hopefully it gets better.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the solutions, like I once mentioned, because I was having this conversation. I say, here's the thing that I've seen personally. If the rhetoric starts to change in the home, the rhetoric will change in the community and then in society. Okay. All this, she's got good hair. Look at her eyes. Look at his eyes. He's got good. That's gotta stop. That rhetoric just has to stop. It's never been my thing, because I just think that Black is beautiful in all shades. And so if we could curate that narrative because here's the thing, and I'm not, like I said, I'm a spectator. I marvel and I learn at things. Once again, I was exposed to that, right? I didn't know about that. I didn't know about the good hair being a thing. I didn't know about like good eyes, good skin, and all that being a thing till I moved to the Midwest, because back home, I was running around ashy. Y'all would have been clowning. Because then because I come to America, they're like, Ashy, you ashy, that's not classy. I'm like, wait, what? You know what I mean? But it's the cultures. It's the cultures, and that's okay. I learned to put on some good lotion when I got here. Otherwise, I'll get clowned. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, we just need to embrace our Blackness globally.
Definitely.
Whatever that looks like. Whether you're biracial, whether you are the darkest shade of Black to the lightest shade of Black, we just need as a people to embrace it, because this is the hues in which we come, and then therefore you can have a generation that comes forward after us that just knows that Black is beautiful in all shades. And these will be our future directors and producers and casting managers, and they will know just to have the hues of Black on the show, not that this complexion sells and this complexion sells. Something has to change, because I don't think Hollywood has ever done that, where different shades of white sell. White just sold.
Yeah, white sell. Yeah, different shades of white. Yeah, they don't do
white
that.
White just sold. They don't do that. White just sold. Now I know the history of Latino or Latina actors or actresses. They curated their names to sound a little bit more white, but not their skin though. Is the name, not their skin. So yeah, I think the solution is we start home based, grow it in the community, grow it into society, empower our kids to know that no matter what complexion, what texture of hair, it's all beautiful.
Yeah,
it'll take time, but it's worth a shot.
Well, that's been our show. You want to plug your channel and plug what you're doing, books and stuff?
Sure. You can check out my podcast, Decoding Dreams Podcast. You can put it in your Google search, Decoding Dreams Podcast. And if you go to my YouTube page, Girl Behind the Mic, MIC, you can check out the About section. There's a tree link there with all links to my books and to my social media.
And I will put the links down there too on this video. For all of you listening, I will put the links down there as well if anybody wants that. So Yeah, because she has really great content, man. And she does the cooking as well. So it's not just that she has a variety of things, and she has how to design covers for books and all that stuff. Yeah, it's really a great channel, people. You got to check it out.
Awesome. It's been a great show. Amber, I missed you.
Oh yeah, yeah. We'll
Shout out.
yeah, shout out to Amber. We'll get back up with her. And once again, we are All Positive Network, and we have given you positive vibes and life lessons. Peace and blessings.
Peace.